Good morning, my name is Chris Fox, and today we're going to give you a quick tip about the 4 pillars of character creation. So this is how you create a character that your audience is going to empathize with, and it's meant to be done quickly and digestibly in a way that you can apply immediately. So, pillar number 1, we need to make our characters sympathetic. This is drawn directly from my book Plot Gardening, which will be coming out in the next few weeks. It's available for pre-order now if you want to check it out, and I'll have a link in the comments. Anyway, on to those pillars, like I said. So pillar number 1 is sympathy. You want your character to be sympathetic. Now, my mistake, and in reading a whole bunch of books on craft, it was never made clear to me exactly what this meant. Sympathetic does not mean nice. What sympathetic means, when you hear this all the time, is you want your character to make decisions as you would expect them given the same data. So if you're reading along in the serial killer's mind, and you see them doing things, you want to understand why they are doing what they are doing. It's got to be clear to you. If people behave irrationally or out of character, then our subconscious cries foul, and we don't believe them as characters. So that sympathy is very important. They don't have to be nice. They can do terrible things, but we have to understand why they do them. In a way, you could almost say, empathetic instead of sympathetic, and that might almost work. So make your characters sympathetic. The second pillar is active. Now, if you're following a story structure like the 3-act structure or Dan Harmon's story circle or many others, a lot of them say that you want to begin with your character being more reactive. And in a way that's true, but reactive does not mean passive. You need your character to be actively working towards something. They have to want something and want it right away, and then actively try to pursue that, because we admire people who take action, who go after the things that they're interested in. And if you look at any of your favorite books, any of your favorite movies, in any genre, from romance to thriller to science fiction, you're going to see that your protagonists, the ones that we really love, are active. They go after the guy or the girl. They cut down, Vader at the end. They oppose their demons and they conquer them in the end. They're very active. So it's really important to make sure that your characters are active. So now we've got 2 of the 4 pillars, sympathetic and active. The next one, and this one is very important, but also, a little bit more subtle, I think, in the beginning. You've got to make it very clear to us what motivates that character. Why is the character doing what they're doing? What are the stakes? What is online? And this is a mistake that I made. So if you look at the book Tech Mage, which is one of my favorite series, the Magic Chronicles have done enormously well. They are my second most popular series and are selling like hotcakes. But the problem with the main protagonist in book 1 is that I did not adequately convey his motivation in the first half of the book. So you're seeing that he's active, and you're seeing that he's sympathetic, but it's unclear what motivates him or what he wants. He's had his memory wiped, and I didn't give him a clear motivation, and the series suffered a little bit as a result of that. That was a misstep that I made. You want to make sure that it's very clear, again, what motivates your characters, because that ultimately is what's going to motivate the reader. We're going to share that motivation. So at this point, you've got 3 of the 4 pillars. Hopefully, you've got a character that we can all sympathize with. You've got a character that's actively pursuing their goal, and we know what that goal is because we know their motivation. And then finally, and this is the last pillar, and this one can be skipped in some genres. I don't always see it there, but I think it's necessary if you want enduring characters. And that's growth. Your character has to grow. Your character should be in some way different at the end of every story. So I'll use the Dresden Files as an example because that is pretty widely read. In the Dresden Files, it starts off very Indiana Jones-like, where at the end of every book, you're not seeing a lot of development in Harry, our main character. And people argue that you can have long-running series, detective series are one of the most famous examples, where the main protagonist doesn't change book to book. And I'm not suggesting that those won't work, but I am saying that I didn't really get interested in the Dresden Files until every book Harry started growing. Every book, starting at, I'm going to say book 4 or 5, he starts learning lessons of becoming a different person by the end of each book. So every time a book is over, he's finished a case and has learned something new about himself. And now we're like 15 or 16 books deep in the series, and I really know this character, and I've watched them grow and struggle and change. And that growth is paramount to my continued investment. Otherwise, I get bored if somebody's not changing. So anyway, guys, those are the four pillars of great character creation. If you get all 4 of them right, you're going to find that people really love your characters. If you miss one or more of those, then people are maybe not going to like your characters as much. And remember that you want to replicate this for every POV character in the book, and this should include your protagonist. All 4 of these pillars, make sure they apply. If you want to know more about this, there are details in my book, Plot Gardening. You can see sort of how characters layer into a plot and how to create them in a way that readers are going to read from book to book. I hope this video was useful for you. I've got a ton of work to do as always, so I'm going to get back to the writing. I'll see you guys next week.